Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Last Cloudia stream. If you remember from the last one, I said, well, this week is probably going to be a Descent of Heroes unit or something. Well, turns out they decided to push the summer 2 weeks early. And I say that because usually the date for summer events in this game is August or next month. Yeah, so I wasn't entirely expecting summer events to be starting today, but oh well. So what we're going to be doing today, we've got, I wish this stuff would load, we've got new Kynei, summer Kynei. Honestly, I like this unit's kit, right? I think she's going to be a good unit. I'm just not the biggest fan of Kynei. And a lot of players aren't really the biggest fan of Kynei because she's just like a tomboy character and basically like a girl version of Kyle. So yeah, I don't really care about the character herself, but her actual kit and her performance so far seems pretty good. So we're going to be spending most of today looking at the new units as well as everything in the Redux. I want to quickly cover everything that's in the Redux, so everyone's aware of what they should be focusing on and aiming for with the Redux, because there are some useful things in there, but everything in the Redux with the units, they're kind of, you don't need any of them, but some of the arcs are quite useful, so I do want to go over some of that. Let's have a look first of all today with having a look at everything in the news, and then we'll start having a look at the new unit today. There is no insight unit or anything. I was kind of hoping for like another insight for a summer unit, that would have been nice, but because Kynei has a summer form that she could have had an insight, that would have been nice, but there isn't anything like that, unfortunately. So, let's get this started by just having a look at everything that's in the news, and then we'll go over to the new unit. So, we've got a Cerulebreeze Dancer, Kynei, and a new limited arc. So, these are limited banners. Summer events in this game have limited units and limited arcs, which means these arcs don't become available until next summer, next year. Sometimes they become available in Valentine's events and things like that. They might bring back these summer limited units, but they don't come back that often. So they're more accessible than collabs, but less accessible than Descent of Heroes units. So we'll look at this unit very soon. We'll cover that in a moment. The actual event itself, we've got a Sun Vessel event. I needed to check how long this event is. This event should be 2 weeks long. I haven't checked myself if it would load. Come on. Yeah, it's 2 weeks of this event, meaning I don't think there's going to be a second summer unit. We only had that happen once. I was kind of expecting there to be 2 summer units because the fact that this is summer is at 2 weeks earlier. I was kind of expecting 2 summer units, but apparently not. It would have been nice to see more summer units because I do like those units. Everyone likes those units. They can sometimes be pretty good. Chronicles, other updates. Godforge Alchemy, so 2 more Godforge equipments, right? But these aren't that great. Honestly, I had a look at them. There's an axe which just gives SET speed and some skill damage cap. It doesn't even give you any damage or strength or anything, so it's kind of bad. And there's an armor, which I believe it just gives you stats when you revive and some mitigation, so it's not that good. You don't really need to worry about any of these Godforge equipment because they're kind of not great. That's everything the maintenance note is really. A new sticker and some bug fixes, but there obviously is the actual summer event itself, because we have a bunch of summer promos going on right now. So there is a giveaway campaign going on right now, or will be happening starting later. We get 3,000 free crystals today if you log in, go in your present box, get 3,000 crystals. And in 2 weeks from now, we will get a free select ticket, and you'll be able to select any summer limited unit or any limited unit up to the most recent summer unit that doesn't include this one. So that would be Labyrinth, her summer form, so you could select her from that ticket, but it also includes the Descent of Heroes units up to Demon Gunner Lilibet, so there is a big selection of units from that ticket that we get for free in 2 weeks. And I'm not going to cover that today because no one's going to have it yet until 2 weeks later. And in 2 weeks, that will be when my next stream is for the next unit. So we'll probably talk about that ticket in 2 weeks from now when it actually comes out. And there is a giveaway thing going on as well right here, where you log in daily, you have a chance of getting orb recoveries or crystals, and every day you log in, increase your chance of getting something from the giveaway. Don't expect anything. I've played this game since the start, and I never won anything good from these types of giveaways. Like the New Year's giveaways they do every year, never won a single thing. Maybe once, but it was not even a major reward. It was just like some crystals or recoveries or something stupid. I've never won anything crazy from it, so, and we don't know the exact rewards from winning this. Well, it says tickets and stuff, but yeah. Training promos, extra drop rates and stuff. The event itself, of course, you can get some summer tickets. The great thing about these limited banners, summer banners and Christmas banners, they both get tickets that you can get from the event, and those tickets do have the same rate up as the actual banner itself. So you do have a small chance of getting something from those, but I don't think we get many tickets, unfortunately. So far, I've only been able to get 7, and I don't think there's any more tickets available right now. I was kind of hoping for a 10-pull ticket somewhere, but if it's not next week or not in a few days or something, it's probably not going to be a 10-pull ticket, which is unfortunate. I was hoping for some more tickets, but I think that's just how it is in all these events. I wish there were more tickets, but whatever. It is a new banner. You're probably only gonna get like a 10-pull worth of tickets, I think, on a rate-up banner. Summon Yards will be starting very soon, in a week. Next week will be Summon Yards beta again, with a few changes, a new boss. And summer medals, make sure to be auto-farming. Go and auto-farm one of those best stages in the story, and you'll be able to get a bunch of these medals. That's what I've been doing. If you set auto-farm yesterday, log in today, and then claim your rewards from that auto-farm, and then you'll get a bunch of medals from it, like 3,000 medals or something. So you can get all these medals just from setting up your auto-farm and remembering to do that. So you can get a bunch of stuff from here, like God Relic Prisms, Shards and stuff, so it's great stuff in there. Other events returning, gacha events, so I want to cover these gachas in a bit. I don't know when I should do that. Probably do that first, I think. You got the new banner itself, of course, but Redux banner, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. I won't do it yet, but I'll do that in a moment. It's got every single summer unit. I do want to cover each of these units and just mention if any of them are good. And the same thing with the arcs. I'll quickly go over each arc because some of them are very good. Marine Catastrophes is amazing, and I do recommend everyone to get that if you can. You don't get any tickets for those Redux banners, unfortunately. Also, I did change the way the text box for people's comments, messages shows up, because I've realized in the last stream I don't think the messages showed up on the screen for some reason. So I changed the way it looks and just made sure that it can show up. Yeah, her DPS on skill 2 is amazing. It's really good, but not crazy. I'll talk about it when I go over her kit, but she is pretty good. She's going to be pretty useful. Not super meta, but, you know, I'll talk about that soon. Units not held. This is paid crystals, by the way. Don't recommend doing this because it's for units. And then one LR Arc not held. This is currently been removed because of an issue, and we've seen that happen many times, but I don't know what the issue was. No idea what it was. I didn't do it myself, but this could be worth doing, maybe. 3,000 paid crystals and you get one of these that you don't have. Some of them are kind of useless though. That's the thing, is if you get one that you didn't need or you didn't want, then it's probably going to be wasted crystals. But if you have the crappy ones and you can guarantee yourself one of the better ones, then it might be worth considering to do that. But most players can just ignore that, honestly, because it's paid crystals. And this is a step gacha with 3 crystals. The first one is, I think, 3,000, and the next one is like 7,000. So it's like, yeah, 10,000 in total. You get 1 guaranteed descent of heroes unit and 1 UR arc from that selection. I recommend to check what you can get from here and what you already have. That's my biggest recommendation, really. Because if you have most of the stuff already, or if you have the most important things, then you can just skip this banner. But if you're a player that doesn't have most of these UR arcs, then it is going to be worth spending 10,000 free crystals for this. Because if you can get one of these that you don't have, it's going to be pretty good. Especially if you get the Susanoo arc, one of the best arcs. It's for PvE content, it's going to be quite nice to have that. But no guarantee on that. So if you're missing that one in particular, don't expect to get it, because it's not guaranteed to be new, it's just guaranteed to be one of these. So it's up to you if you want to do that. It depends on what you have and what you don't have, really. And then even more banners, 1 not held UR arc. I thought about this. 6,000 paid crystals and you get one of those, one of the select arcs in here, guaranteed. Isn't bad. If you're, actually it's, yeah, it's from, I think it's from every single arc that you don't have up until that. So I've thought about doing this. I think they removed that one too, didn't they? Yeah, because of an issue with that one as well. I thought about doing this because I'm missing maybe about 7 or so, maybe not that much, I don't know how many. I'm missing a few of them, and getting 1 guaranteed for 6,000 paid crystals isn't too bad. If you're a player that is missing a bunch of these, then it is one of the better banners to get UR arcs from, honestly. Even though it's paid crystals, UR arcs in this game are very rare, so yeah, that kind of sucks. But yeah, I still feel like 10,000 free crystals is worth it for the chance to get one of these. If you're missing like maybe half of them or more, then it's probably worth doing it, maybe. But again, it depends on what you're missing, really, because some of them are not, well, most of them are pretty useful, honestly. They're all actually quite good to have, if I'm honest. Daily free banners, you can get guaranteed stuff here. Descent of Heroes Festival limited units are available on the last lap, which is nice. Sometimes you can get some good units on here. It would be amazing if you can get Shiftlog Zeus from this, because technically you can, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because it goes up to Seadrail. So if you could get Shiftlog Zeus from these, it would be amazing. That would be the best thing you could get probably from it. Yeah, the comment thing, I just changed the whatever it's called, the theme of it. The theme of it, I changed it to box to make it look cleaner and easier to see the messages, because if I go to clean, there's no box around it, so I prefer the look of boxed. And it makes it easier to see those anyways. So stuff in the shop, these are not that crazy, and these are all paid things, so you can just skip most of these, or all of these if you're free to play, just don't worry about them. But as a newer player, if you're a newer player and you don't mind spending a little bit, this Hyper Primal Crystone is going to be amazing, because you can get 1 unit to max built level 120 with all of their abilities unlocked for 300 paid crystals. It's a pretty good deal if you're just starting. You can get a new unit, like the new Kynei, and then get this, put it on her, use it on her, and then she'll be at level 120 with all of her base skills unlocked, and then you can just instantly push through like the entire story pretty much. So yeah, these things are better, really useful for newer players or people that are lacking materials, but someone like me, I don't need these. The other packs in here, there's nothing really noteworthy. UR Arc trade ticket for 9,600 isn't that crazy, because we've seen the same price of these tickets in the past, so it comes around quite often, and I never get those really unless you're missing like a specific one that you want. That's great, and sure, if you want to do that, but I wouldn't. And these aren't worth doing, but this one is, because 1,500 paid crystals to get 10 pull is cheaper, but the 3,000 paid crystals for a 10 pull is not worth it, and the 900 paid crystals for 3 pulls, it's not worth it because you're just spending 300 paid crystals per single pull, which is a normal price anyway, and this is like half price for a 10 pull, so I would consider this one if you're trying to maximize your, you know, ticket pulls. I would buy this if I don't get anything, but we'll see how that goes later on. You can also get some other useful things in here, like Hero Gadget Ticket and stuff, but Gold Relic Prisms are nice. But yeah, I'm probably not going to get those. And some skins. So I think that is everything in the news update notice that I wanted to have a look at. This is the actual event itself. Yeah, well, let me just see this. So I haven't seen this yet. Let me just see what this is. So every day you have a chance of getting crystals up to 500. That's pretty nice. So you could get the thing I'm worried about with this is you could just get 5 orb recoveries every day and be disappointed, or you just get 10 crystals like this is kind of bad. But if you get 500 crystals, that will be pretty great. And then the prize lists. Oh, here we go. This, I believe, I have to like zoom in and go closer to my screen. Yeah. These are the same rewards that we get from the giveaways from New Year's. They do the same thing with New Year's giveaways with the same rewards as this. I don't expect to get anything because like one winner gets 100 or whatever thousand crystals, right? I've never gotten it. The only thing I've ever won is like, I don't know, some random crap down here that you don't care about. So I think if you orb recovery or something stupid down here, most of these are useless, but the ones up here like your Ark and stuff, they can be pretty nice. And the crystals, of course, I never got any of those. I know it sounds like I'm complaining, but I played this game since day one, haven't gotten a single one of these rewards. Just tells you how rare it is and how difficult it is to get any of these rewards. Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Just make sure to log in daily for that. So, about Kynei, I haven't covered her yet, but I will do that in a moment. She is going to be very good. Let me start talking about these banners now. I want to talk about the Redux stuff first, so we get that out of the way, and then start having a look at the new units, because that will be the most fun. So, Kynei is going to be a great unit. I'll talk about her soon. Let's just have a look at the Redux first, because I do want to cover everything that's in here, just so everyone's aware of what is useful from these types of banners. So let's just have a look at this one. Some of the banners, the LR Ark limited banner, guaranteed banner for 3,000 paid crystals is currently not available because they removed it from an issue, but that's going to come back soon. And we do have Ark King of Dragons for another week, which if you don't have him, and if you don't have Ark, he is going to be a must pull, in my opinion, because he's the best PvE damage dealer in the game right now. So if you don't have him yet, and if you missed Ark from the Brave Frontier collab, then I do highly recommend to get him if you can, because he's going to be allowing your account to push endgame content like Battleground Simulator a lot more. So he's going to be... If you already have Ark though, then technically you don't need him, because Ark is the best alternative and can be better in some situations. Never worth chasing for a UR Ark, even though it is very strong. It's a UR Ark, so I don't recommend to go for that, because 0.4% is just like hardly anything, so I just don't worry about the UR Arks. That's what I recommend. So let's start having a look at this Redux banner. Now what I want to do first of all is just quickly go over each unit, just kind of explain the units, and then more importantly the arcs, because the arcs are going to be more important. So unfortunately, basically every unit in here is useless apart from a couple of them. So Summer Labref was the one. Labref, she was the one last year. She's decent. She's an element unit with laceration. Can do a little bit of damage with an anima that allows enemies to take more damage. And damage cap during status ailment. She's not bad. I think she's solid, but she's not a unit that you ever need to use. And the Arch being version is a million times better than this one. So she isn't that great, but she is one of the better ones on the list, at least. I'm gonna just point out the most notable ones first. So, Summer Sarah, still very useful. She can be a SCT battery unit because she has long range normal attacks and she scales off of intelligence and strength. She's a dual wield unit, has a very useful anima to reduce ice resistance, which can help Icy Guardian. So it is a good synergy to have her on your team as the SCT battery unit and use a unit like Shift Arc with Icy Guardian, because this anima is going to allow Icy Guardian to do more damage because it's reducing the ice resistance. So I think she is pretty useful. I use her in like pretty much every single raid event as an SCT battery unit because she just a very good SCT battery unit. Even though she doesn't have any SCT spells in her kit, that's the issue. You need SCT spells to make it work, like Honey Elixir or Winter with Apple Pie. You kind of need those to make it work. If you don't have those, then you're not going to get any use out of her, honestly. And you could just use Lena. So she's not a necessary unit, but she is useful still. And I still use her like very rarely for raid bosses as one of the best SCT battery units for, you know, Goddess Kiss and normal attacks and stuff. So I would still consider it if you have the SCT spells, and if you want another SCT battery unit for like raids, then she might be worth trying to get. And we've also got Summer Nael. She is not really used much anymore or at all, but she can be used in PvP for like her SCT. But I don't think I honestly don't use her anymore. The only reason she was useful was that she restores all allies SCT by 10 seconds, right? And I used to use her in guild battles for the SCT regen, and you can make her a healer, and she can be a support with the anima and stuff, because enemies take more skill damage. So she was decent for a guild battle unit, but that's like her only use right now. And yeah, she was one of my favorite units when she came out. She's a very amazing, well-built unit with her kit. Her kit is very interesting. I do really like her kit. And yeah, she does have high weak, which is one of the only places where you can get this right now. So she can be useful, but isn't a must pull. None of these are must pulls, but I'm just pointing out the most useful units in here. And then probably the final one that I would mention is Lila, because she has insight and can be a viable PvP unit to some extent. She's very squishy, she'll just die instantly, but if you fully build her out, get her paid bow, Godforge it, she can hit quite hard in arena and guild battles, and she could also be a support because she provides SCT to the team as well. I haven't used her recently for quite a while now, but she does have some use at least. Every other unit on this list is basically useless and doesn't provide like anything at all to your account, so I wouldn't recommend any of them, honestly. I was hoping Tinkili would get an insight, because when she came out, she was very good. She is super outdated at this point by many years, but if she ever gets insight, she should be quite good. She's just not usable anymore, really. I mean, single enemy strength or intelligence minus 50%. She's a debuffer. She's like a support unit. She has some use. That's kind of why I'm picking her, but I'm probably still never going to use her, honestly. So basically, TLDR is your number one pick is probably going to be Summer Sarah for an SCT battery unit. And then after that, it depends on the content you care about. You've got these two, well, Summer Sarah PvE content, the rest are kind of PvP. You got Lila only PvP, but I don't recommend to pull for her unless you're, you know, willing to max her out really, because she needs full investment to really work. So she's not really a recommendation, but she can be a support. I've used her as a healer in an SCT, you know, unit to the team, can work, but not really recommended. But she can have a little bit of niche use. Same thing with Summer Nael, she can have some slight use. I think I will do some summons. I haven't decided if I'm going to do any on this Redux yet. I might do a few, but I've kind of wanted to wait for the daily single pulls and do those, but we'll see. And Summer Labyrinth is pretty useful as well. She's the most recent one out of this list. So it's basically out of those 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, those 4 can be useful. You don't need them, but I would select one of those 4. Every other unit in the list is kind of useless and you don't need any of them. So, well, you don't need any of these at all, but those 4 can have some use. Probably Labyrinth is one of the more viable ones, I would suppose. But if you have Arch being Labyrinth, then you don't need that one really, because you're probably never going to use that. But yeah, anyways, that's pretty much everything to do with the units. I won't talk about them anymore. They're all kind of mid. You can skip them, honestly. Every single one of these, you don't need them. Those 4 can have some small usage, but you don't need any of them. Now, with these arcs is a lot different, and I'll spend a bit of time on this. I want to go over each one of these and just point out the most useful things from these arcs. So let's start with the first one, which is Marine Catastrophes. This one's amazing. I really like this one, not just for the artwork, but because it's so useful. And this is probably the best one to get, I think. Main reason is Marine Insight, Ice Raid, Surf Impact, Ice Weak Point Breakthrough. It's got decent learnable skills and a very useful Archive reward. This is the accessory I've been using in my Battlegraph Simulator teams on my Elmwood unit. It's quite useful. It's the only accessory that can increase the duration of status elements. So this does have a lot of, it's very useful. So I would recommend to try to get this arc if you don't have it, because it does have some useful learnable skills. But the most important thing here is this Archive reward accessory. It's very useful. So the trait, I don't think I've ever used it. It's mostly the learnable skills and the Archive reward from this one, but it is very useful. Now, Seaside Drive, not as good, but it does have some useful learnable skills, like Counter Shield 2 and Earth Mega Drive. Both of those are pretty useful. Archive reward, I never really used it. I could never really take advantage of it, even though it's a decent accessory. You need 2 weapons of the same type, so like 2 swords. I could never really take advantage of it, honestly. So it's a decent one, but not as good as the other one, Marine Catastrophes. And now, Heroic Spirits Vacation. This one's also very good. So, the learnable skills on this one, Ice Ensemble, very useful. Ice Weak Point Breakthrough, Two-Handed Speed Boost 2. Ice Ensemble is probably the most notable one. It's a very good skill, especially if you're building a ice-focused team, because 7SC for 30% ice attack damage is amazing, and I do really like Ensemble skills. They are some of the best skills for, you know, per SCT damage that you get. Is very good, and this Archive Ward isn't anything crazy, but it can give you some defense for like a tank. And light physical damage if you're single wielding. It's not the best, but the most important things about this arc is Ice Ensemble, I think, because it's the only way to get it right now. The arc trait isn't that bad, it's okay, but I never really used it. Honestly, there are better options now, but yeah, you're mostly going to be getting this for the learnable skills, Ice Ensemble mainly. If you don't care about like Ice Ensemble, if you don't need it, then probably skip this one. But there's never a guarantee of what ice units are going to be coming in the future, so you don't know for sure. But it is useful for Ice Ensemble only. Heatwave Wars, I think we're starting to get to the less useful ones now. This one has Ice Mega Drive, which is quite useful. Summer Boot Camp, I don't remember how long it takes to get a 20% maximum boost. I should have checked on Goldmine, but I never seen anyone use it, so I would assume it's like 60 seconds or something. It's probably not that good. Yeah, because in PvP you can basically not really get any benefit from that anymore, so maybe in PvE content like Battleground Simulator you might be able to get some use out of this one. Maybe. That's probably the only case, but it's nothing crazy. And Archive Reward is not that great, so this is mostly for Ice Mega Drive. That's pretty much it. And the next one, this one gives all allies the Hydro Circle buff, which, by the way, if you haven't seen yet, Hydro Circle, or whatever it's called, Hydro, it's not Circle, it's whatever, Hydro Shell has been removed, and they changed it to Spell Barrier, or whatever it's called, and it now applies to every single magic damage, and not magic that's not thunder, right? So 180 seconds, yeah, that's terrible. That's terrible. This all allies a physical damage buff and magic attack damage taken minus 50% buff. It's like a shield thing. This arc trait can be useful for PvP sometimes, but current meta is not for mages really. It's a heavily physical damage focused meta right now for PvP, so this won't be that useful right now, but in the future it could be useful. Learnable skills are not that good, honestly, quite bad, pretty useless. Gourmet Hunter, possibly, but not crazy. It's just a 3 SC skill, and that one's kind of meh. It's okay, but nah. So the only useful thing here is really the trait for the Hydro Shell that was removed, and it's now Spell Barrier, whatever. This is mostly for the trait, everything else kind of mid. And this one, this one's probably the worst one. Oil Coating, Hydro Shell. I thought, did they not rename? Did they forget to rename this skill? Did they forget? Because that's what I'm seeing. They made a whole post about, oh, we're renaming Hydro Shell to Spell Barrier. I think that's what it's called. But this is still called Hydro Shell. Yeah, they didn't realize that, did they? They didn't think about that. They should have thought about it. All they need to do is just change the name. It'll be fine, I think. But no, they forgot to do that. Fine. But Hydro Shell, when they change the name, it's a useful buff for tanking magic. It's one of the best supportive spells for tanking magic, but is very niche because it's only magic damage. But if you're against a boss that does magic damage and you're struggling, then try to use Hydro Shell, because it's going to be very useful. You take half magic damage, even though it is like a shield, it's got a certain HP, but whatever, it's still very strong. And Archive Rewards, useless, basically. So this arc is only for Hydro Shell or Spell Barrier. That's about it. Fish Buster, possibly. as well, because specials, it applies to special, which could be useful for Ark. If you're up against a fish boss, then maybe. And then the final one here, Paradise Rubel, has Orgon Ring, which can be useful occasionally. Very rarely you'll get a use out of this for someone like Balezar, because it's very specific. You need to be using it on a unit that scales off of strength and also does magic damage, so it's very rare. Not many units can take advantage of it, but some units can, and it can be strong on certain units. But it is basically the Thaumaturgy Ring of magic, which sounds really strong, but then you realize we don't have many mages and hardly anyone can use it, so that's why it's not as good. Pearl Float honestly is pretty useful if you're taking light physical or magic damage. Chance to recover 50% of the damage as health. Autocast recast to start the battle, get some light resistance, curse and poison resistance is not bad. It's a decent accessory honestly for PvP or just any light damage, can be pretty good. So this one does have some more usage honestly. You're probably never going to use the trait, but the learnable skills, Archive Reward can be, they're mostly for PvP though. So I've gone over every single arc now. Let me just kind of go over what I think you should be getting from this. I think the best one is definitely Marine Catastrophes. I think that one's going to be your best one to get. Try to get it if you can. None of these are really must pulls, but putting in like maybe a 10 pull or a few singles or something isn't a bad idea, because it is quite useful and they're limited, so it's probably worth doing a few pulls to try and get it if you don't have it. And then the next one after that probably depends on what you care about, because I think the other arcs are mostly for PvP, really. Heroic Spirit's Vacation if you care about Ice and Assemble. I don't think you need this one, you can skip this one. This one's the worst one, so don't get that one. You can ignore that one. This one, you can probably ignore this one too entirely as well. These two are kind of useless. That one's the best one. This one has Ice Ensemble, this one has Counter Shield 2, Earth Mega Drive. And this one has Orgon Ring and a decent Archive Reward. So basically, this one is more for PvE content, but it does have some useful PvP stuff too. This one's got the most usefulness. The other ones, Heroic Spirit Vacation, Seaside Drive, and Paradise Rubel, all these three can be useful, but they're more for PvP content, and they're not anything crazy. They're just like a little, giving you a little bit extra for PvP content pretty much, that you can use sometimes, but they can be useful to have. I kind of want to get Paradise Rubel, because it's got Orgon Ring and this Archive Reward. I kind of want to get this one, but it is just for PvP, so it's not really a priority in my opinion. And Heatwave Wars, Ice Mega Drive, it's okay, but you don't need that one either, so those three are kind of, you don't need those three. The other four can have some usage, but Marine Catastrophe is going to be the best one. Those three are more for PvP. That's basically everything from here. So now we've talked about everything with Redux. That took longer than I thought it would. Let's start having a look at the new banner, or this new unit. So let me just bring this up. Right, so Cerulebreeze Dancer Kynei is the summer unit for this year. She's going to be a physical damage dealer. She can be fire or ice, even though it doesn't have an ice icon, she can be ice. She is a soldier type unit, high strength and defense. Attribute resistance plus 40 to fire. Can be quite nice, plus 20 to ice as well. The issue though is she doesn't have any thunder resistance. Being weak to dark doesn't really matter because PvP meta is doesn't really have any dark units right now. Ailment resistance doesn't have any stun resistance, but she does have curse nil and illness nil, which is nice. But it would have been nice if she had some stun resistance as well. So let's start having a look at her skills. These are quite interesting. I think her skills seem pretty decent, and her skill 2 is going to be quite strong. Yeah, this character as a summer unit isn't my favourite. I would have preferred a lot of other units, but I think her kit is quite good. I'm just not the biggest fan of Kynei. I don't really care about Kynei. And yeah, it's a bit weird. Was it ever talked about how she died in the game? I still don't know. Did they ever explain how she died? I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't think I heard about anything about that. So her skill 1 is... yeah, I don't think so. Her skill 1, medium area fire combo attack around the target. This one is actually a long range skill. This one's a long range skill. It does 8 hits. It's okay, but you can't really spam it that quickly. That's the issue with it, is you can't really spam this one that fast. Yes, the actual hits look pretty fast, but you can't spam it that quickly. So it's not going to be her best skill, and it is a very small area. So yes, it is a long range skill. It's not going to be bad, but you're probably not going to be using it that often because it's not her best skill. Now, let's move on to skill 2. This one's going to be her best skill. This one's amazing. So this one is a wide area fire combo attack around the target. If you have this set, chance to give the enemy a physical attack damage minus 30% debuff. We'll look at what that is soon, once we go over the rest of the kits. Let's just focus on exactly what this skill does first of all. So this does a wide area fire combo attack around the target. This is another long range skill. Like the skill 1, it's another long range skill. But the best thing about this skill, this one is 13 hits, which is okay, could have been a bit higher. But the best thing about it is the fact that it's very quick. This is a very fast skill 2, and it's called a chain splash. And she like throws out the beach ball thing. I'm gonna call it a beach ball. She throws out the beach ball, and it basically hits the enemy and then explodes. But when it explodes, she can then use another skill before that animation is finished. So she can like chain her skill 2s together, which is why it's called the chain splash. So she throws the beach ball, and then when it explodes, she can then use another skill while it's still going off. So the actual animation of this is very quick, and then you can just keep spamming this skill 2. It does the initial hit and then explodes, does more hits. You'll see this later on, but this skill 2 is her best skill. It's not as good as Arks skill 2 or anything like that, but the DPS numbers that I've seen on this skill 2 at the moment is about close to 8 mil DPS on her skill 2, so it's like 7.8. Between 7 and 8 mil is what you'll be seeing for DPS numbers on this skill 2, which is pretty solid, honestly. It's on the higher end of DPS, but it's not as good as Shift Arc or Arc. So those two units are going to be better with DPS skills. But this skill 2, still amazing skill though. Yeah, the animation doesn't even finish. That's what I was talking about. The fact that when it explodes, it will still be going off, and you can use another one. That's what makes it quite good. It's not the fastest skill, but the fact that you can keep spamming those skill 2s, even though the animation is still going off, is what makes it very good. It's going to allow her to be a top DPS unit, but she's not going to be as good as Arc or Shift Arc, and she's going to have lower DPS than Christmas Rem with her buff active, so she's not going to be in the top 3, but she might be at like in the top 5 possibly for PvE DPS units, I would think. Archbeing Magus can get high DPS if he's against gods that are broken. That's very specific, but he does have high DPS if you can reach that. So she's probably in the top 5 or close to top 5, around rank 5 or something for top DPS units for PvE content with this skill 2. Now her skill 3, this one is a close the gap skill. It's a bit weird. I don't know why, but skill 1 and 2 are long range. Skill 3 is not a long range skill, it's a close the gap skill, and you're getting close in the enemy's face. The skills and stuff are a bit strange. I wish they could have been done a bit better. She could have been a long range damage dealer, but she's not just a long range damage dealer. The numbers are just with her base kit, but I do want to talk a bit about like potential and stuff soon. I want to go over everything. So this one is 18 hits on her skill 3. Instant close the gap, does a wide area fire combo attack. 18 hits isn't that much, honestly. Could have been higher. Could have been more hits than 18. But the animation is decently fast. It's not going to be as good as her skill 2. Her skill 2 is going to be faster for DPS numbers. But it's at least going to be better than her skill 1 for DPS. So it's not bad. But why would you want to use this when you can just spam her skill 2? So what you're going to be doing in PvE content is just spamming her skill 2 all the time. Hopefully if you've got Honey Elixir or something, you can just keep spamming that. That's going to be her best performance. But her other skills are not terrible, they can be usable. I just wish she was a fully long range unit and not like a long range and a close range unit, because her normal attacks are close range and her skill 3 is a close the gap skill, which makes her close range. Then you've got a long range skill 1 and skill 2. It's a bit strange, but yeah, I think the skills are okay, they're pretty solid. Her skill 2 is the best one. Special, powerful fire combo attack to all enemies. This one's 50 hits. It's not going to be the best. If you're comparing it to Ark, it's going to be a million times worse. But yeah, don't expect much from her special. It's not going to do much at all. You can do a little bit, but it's going to be like maybe not even... it's not even going to do half of Ark's special. It's not even maybe going to even do... it might even do a quarter, I don't know. But it's not going to do much. The only benefit from it is the fact that it can hit every single enemy. So you're probably going to be using it against multiple enemies. Against bosses you'll never use it because it's not that useful. It's not going to do much damage there. So yeah, that's all of her skills. I think they look decent. It's an interesting design for a unit. Having a beach ball and stuff, it's interesting. Haven't had that in this game yet. Yeah, it says wide area. I mean, when they say wide area, you can never be sure what they exactly mean. You have to always try it out yourself. Because, yeah. Because skill 1 says medium area and it doesn't look like a medium area. It looks like a small area, but whatever. The wording, you can never trust the wording in this game. You have to try things out yourself. That's what I always recommend to everyone. It always happens. You always have to try things out. Otherwise, you could be disappointed based on if you just take it as face value. You'll probably be disappointed from this. But anyways, let's have a look at her traits next. Gonna be more interesting. So, when equipped with only one weapon, she's going to be a single wield damage dealer, unfortunately. And I say that because dual wield is pretty much always better for PvE content, because you can maximize your damage cap, and Icy Guardian, more crit rate, more Icy Guardian procs is going to be the best for PvE content. So yeah, not my favourite. Fire and ice damage plus 60%. You may be wondering, why does it increase ice damage? Her skills are fire, and that's got a fire icon. There's no ice here whatsoever. Well, yeah, that's because it's in these skills somewhere down at the bottom. So we'll see that soon. Fire and ice damage 60%, damage cap 130,000. When you have this buff, when you have this not set, Battlestar give this unit and the high strength ally a skill damage cap buff. 30,000 damage cap, skill damage cap buff until both units, it's continuous until they die. So this can be quite useful. Giving this unit and another unit a 30,000 skill damage cap buff continuously is quite useful for sure, and it is on the higher end of damage cap buffs that we have. So yeah, more than 7 years into the game and a dual wield is still going to be the best for sure. That's just how it is. This is how the game is. I mean, we have had occasional single wield units that have been meta, but they get power crept a lot quicker because their damage ceiling, their highest potential is a lot lower than a dual wield unit. It's just how it is in this game, because of the fact that Icy Guardian is so broken. That's kind of how it is. When hitting an attribute weakness with fire, increase damage by 30% and damage cap by 130,000. So you're probably going to need to hit weakness with fire, is what it's telling you really. If you have it set, battle start, give all enemies a physical attack damage minus 30% debuff. Increase ice damage by 30%, damage taken from enemies minus 50%. So you get all of those effects when you have this set. Now what is fever and cooldown? We will have a look at that once we go over the passive skills. Or should I just mention that now? Yeah, I might as well just mention that now, so it makes more sense. What fever and cooldown actually does is it makes skills and special ice, and chance to give skill 2 an extra effect, nullify criticals. So basically, you want this on if you want ice skills, and you want to take it off if you want fire skills. That's how it is, right? So now that makes sense. Also, if you remove it, the nullify criticals part won't activate because you won't have the skill on. So you're kind of forced to use this in PvP, and in PvE content you can remove it. You won't get any effects there, but then you'll get the effect of the damage cap buff. So when you remove that skill, you get the damage cap buff to her and an ally. Well, it has in brackets, then everything below it is going to be tied to that. Same thing. Well, it doesn't matter if it's on or off, because you can only do fire damage when it's off anyways, because when it's on you're going to be doing ice damage. So yeah, it doesn't really matter either way. But when you have it on, you have ice damage skills and special, you nullify criticals, it gives your skill 2 a chance to give a physical attack damage debuff to enemies, and it also gives a physical damage, that same debuff, to all enemies at the start of the battle, and she'll get 30% more ice damage and take 50% less damage. So the 50% damage mitigation, she only gets that if she's ice, I believe, which is a hell of a lot of mitigation to be missing out on if you don't use ice. And this is kind of the issue, is she's forced to be ice in PvP because of the physical damage debuff and the 50% damage mitigation. She's going to need that mitigation, and that physical damage debuff to all enemies at the start of the battle is very useful. So she's probably going to need to be ice in arena and guild battles. Also, she only nullifies criticals if she's ice as well. So yeah, she's probably going to need to be ice in PvP, because if you try to use her as fire, she's going to be losing out on 50% damage mitigation. She can't nullify criticals, and no debuff. So yeah, basically you'll be using fire for PvE content and ice for PvP, which is okay. I just wish there was more of a I wish these effects were not tied to specific elements, and you could choose which element you wanted without removing a lot of these effects. Like if she still had the debuff and damage mitigation if she was fire, and the only difference with the buff is it makes skills and special ice, and you get, you know, the different damage cap and damage, that would have been fine, I think. They're just trying to give more conditional effects and limit on what you can use and where, which isn't my favourite, and that's never a good thing. But yeah, we could have done a little bit better, but it's still quite strong, and I think there is some potential here for like a PvP unit that can also work in PvE content, because the fact that she has 7.8 mil DPS on her skill 2, and the fact that she might have some PvP viability when she's ice, is pretty promising. Yeah, Telestiel's still the best, but he plays a completely different role than Kynei, and she's not technically multiple elements. She does one element at a time, but you can switch between them, which is the difference. So that's the trait 1, mostly tied to that skill, but she also gets fire and ice damage and damage cap, so it is interesting. And this does mean you have to think about the unit's kit and understand the unit's kit and think about what you want to use. Do you want to use fire or ice? Well, unfortunately, she's going to be doing slightly more damage and damage cap in PvE content with fire than ice, and she'll do quite a bit better using ice in PvP. So yeah. Now let's have a look at a trait 2. I think this one's interesting, but you can't really take advantage of it that much right now. You'll see why. So at the start of the battle, boost HP, strength and defense based on the number of human type allies. Maximum of 60% at 4 allies. In theory, this sounds very strong and very good. But in practice, we don't actually have that many meta human type units, and the current meta for PvP is creatures, god types, you know, so you're not really going to be able to have a full human team in PvP because of what the current meta is like. That's the issue, right? So you probably won't be able to get the maximum boost of this in PvP unless you specifically try to build for that. Like, you can make it work, like Shift Leonardo, Kynei, Amelia, or maybe Spirit Maiden, Sarah, Melza. You know, there are some options, but it means you can't use Judecca, you can't use Benimaru, you can't use Shift Log Zeus, those top 3 units that are PvP meta units. That's the issue. And it's only a battle start thing. Right. I don't know. Maybe that just means during the battle. I don't know. I haven't. It's not something I've tried, but it's not a buff icon. It's not. It's not going to be a buff icon. Because it doesn't say it gives a buff, so it's probably a passive effect. I'm not sure if she'll lose it or not. I can't be sure on that. But maybe. 60% is a lot, and in PvE content, I think it's going to be nice, especially the fact that it includes HP. The fact that it includes HP as well, 60% HP as well, could be quite nice. So I do think it has some potential. If you try and build a full human type team, and if she's good enough, it could work, maybe. Possibly. Or maybe you can try with 3 human units and it might work. Good thing is, even if you have her on your team and no other human type allies, it will still count as one ally being human type. So that's great. Yes, you could technically give units in your team a human mimicry skill, like sorcerer mimicry or something. I think that would work, right? Maybe. It should do. I'm pretty sure. Can't be guaranteed, but I'm pretty sure that would work. Because a human type in this game is like sorcerer and knight, soldier, all that stuff. So that should work too, but you won't want to ever put those types on your Log Zeus or anything really. Especially not Benimaru with his paid accessory. Definitely not. Or Judecca. It's not really going to work on those units. That's the issue. When equipped with only one weapon and using a special... Yeah, that's the problem is. Give unit this Sultry Skies fever buff 15 seconds. So when she's using a special, she gets this buff of 15 seconds. When equipped with only one weapon and using a skill, chance to give the buff as well. So she has 2 ways to activate this buff. After she uses the special, it's guaranteed, and after every single skill there is a random chance to get the buff. We don't know what the exact chance is right now until Goldmine is updated with the exact chance, so we won't know yet for like a couple days or so, or a week or something. But let's just hope it's high enough and not something like a 1% chance, 'cause that'd be stupid. But the moment you use a skill, it'll have like a certain chance of getting the buff, which is nice. And what this buff does is it increases your SCT recovery speed by 100%, gradually restores HP, and skills can't be interrupted by most attacks. So if you're continuously spamming her skills, she's likely to get this buff, especially considering her skill 2 is very fast. It takes like just under a second to use her skill 2, and then use another one. So yeah, hopefully this is basically permanent uptime if you're spamming your skills. I would assume so, because her skills seem pretty fast. And that's a pretty decent buff, mostly for the immune to interruption when using skills. It's nothing crazy though, you're not getting any damage or anything like that. No damage cap, no strength. So it's kind of a minor buff, really. But the SCT regen can be quite useful for some players, like newer players that don't have SCT skills. That's going to be quite useful, for sure. So, now let's go over her passive skills next. She doesn't have any magic spells, no charisma or anima or anything. She's just a damage dealer. Okay. So, HP up 2, HP up max, attack up max, resolve up 4, resolve up max, heroism up 2, critical up 3. Now we get on to brute skills. Here's the interesting thing, right? We've got a very heavily creature-focused PvP meta right now with Benimaru and Judecca. And now we have a unit that has a bunch of brute-type skills. Brute Buster applies to beast, plant, insect, bird, fish, and creature. There it is, creature, the most important one there. Brute Saber 2, 20% more damage, 4,000 damage cap to brute types. Brute Shield 3, 30% less damage taken from those types as well. So, yeah, her best performance is going to be against brute type enemies. Like, she should be able to work against Judecca in theory, but just this one skill won't be enough because he hits so damn hard. But you never know. The problem is she is ice, and that isn't really a good matchup at all. I don't think it's really going to work enough, but still nice. Anti-type boosts, auto EX Brave, very good. Auto high protection, ice armor 2, I believe. I think that's less fire damage taken. I think so. Fire drive breakthrough. Here's the stuff I don't really like. Because this is only fire, physical damage, and special damage cap. So she will get 20,000 fire, physical, and special damage cap from that. But if you're ice, instead you will get 30% ice damage, 5,000 damage cap. So basically, she's getting more damage cap from being fire. And, I mean, it's okay, but it's, again, enforcing the fact that you kind of need to use ice for PvP, because you get 30% more damage, you get all that 50% damage mitigation, and that physical damage dealt debuff to all enemies as well. Again, enforces the fact that you want to use ice for PvP, and you want to use fire for PvE, because you get even more damage cap if you use fire. So, yeah. You want to use fire for PvE, ice for PvP, pretty much. Elemental Shield, take less damage from those elements by 10%. Isn't going to be much, but it's still useful. Fair and Square. I do like this one, because I never use it on a unit, because it's just not SE efficient, but it's nice when a unit has it. Physical damage healing 3. Bless speed. I don't know why she has this. I'm questioning why. Because she has a close the gap skill 3, and she has a long range skill 1, and a long range skill 2. So you're never going to be moving unless you want a normal attack. So this is kind of useless, honestly, on this type of unit that has long range skills and a close the gap skill. So yeah, it's kind of pointless, really. Favorite sword form 2, more damage and damage cap. Two-handed machine boost. Here we go, the first time we've seen what weapon she wants. She wants to use a machine. You definitely want to use a machine, because these machine boost skills. So, you are very limited on what weapons you can use on this unit, unfortunately. 20% damage, 6,000 damage cap, 30% and 12,000, and machine mega boost. Machine is amazing for PvE content, for the piercing, it's very strong there. But in PvP, not as much. really. But she has no choice, so yeah. Definitely put on a machine like Trishula. She can use Trishula for sure. That'll work just fine. But she does get a lot more damage cap when she hits fire weakness. So you still want to aim for hitting fire weakness if possible in PvE content. Because let me just show you that real quick. Fire weakness damage cap 130,000. It's a hell of a lot of damage cap that you're missing out on if you don't hit weakness. So it's still recommended that you hit weakness even if you're using Trishula for PvE content. Cloves Giga Boosts. More physical damage and damage mitigation. Arm HP plus 3. Skill charge 2 makes sense. That's her best skill anyway. Focus Will was less duration of debuffs. I don't really care about this skill. We'll never have. Sleeping Lion. When close to death, restore HP, increase movement speed, get a strength, and SCT recovery buff as well. We've just increased strength by 100%. SCT recovery speed 50%. Quite nice. Adamantium. More defense in mind when you're near death, based on how low your health is. And then obviously this skill, which we've talked about already, just makes your skills and special ice, and allows a skill 2 to inflict that physical damage dealt debuff, and also nullify all critical damage. So she'll never be able to take critical damage if she is an ice damage dealer. If you make her ice, she'll never take critical damage. Now let's have a look at her new unique skills that are right here. So that was technically the first one. The next one, continuous haste effect. When HP is at least 50%, you get 30% strength. If it's less than 50%, you get 30% defense instead. Right. Okay. So 50% or more, you get more strength. If it's less than 50%, you get defense. Right. It's not crazy, but the extra strength is quite useful for sure. So I do like that. Next one, chance to evade physical and magic attacks. When evading, restore 1 second of SCT to one random skill. It's not really going to do much, honestly. It's rarely going to happen, and it's just 1 second. So, yeah. But maybe if she has enough mitigation, and if you stack like illusion and stuff, it could be okay, and some form of SCT regen. But I wouldn't bank on that. It's not going to be a reliable way of getting SCT, really. It's going to be a very small, minor effect, really. When skill attacking, boost damage cap based on how unit... based on how unit high max HP is. That's not right wording. That's not the right wording, is it? Boost damage cap based on how unit high max HP. That makes no sense. That's not English. That's not English. That's not English. It's boost damage cap based on how high the unit's HP is. That's what it's supposed to say. And not boost damage cap based on how unit high HP. That makes me feel like I'm having a stroke. It really does. It makes me... Well... I'm glad I noticed that, because I didn't actually notice that before, but it is funny that it's there. Because it makes me feel like I'm going crazy and losing my mind. But I wasn't crazy, it was actually the wording. Okay, so plus 3,000 damage cap for every 2,000 max HP. I don't remember, I think we've seen a similar effect before, but I don't think it's the same wording, because I feel like I would have seen it, but not boost damage cap based on how unit high I can't even say it because of how dumb it is. Is it the first time I've seen that? And I know it's like translation and whatever, but it's still funny to see it. After this stream, I have to go and screenshot this and show it in my Discord and be like, look, this is like stupid monkey reading whatever. This is funny. When special activates, boost damage cap based by living allies' total strength, defense, intelligence, and mind. So if you're using a full team with higher strength, defense, intelligence, and mind, it will increase her own special damage cap. Here's the issue with it though. It doesn't tell you how much damage cap for each stat. It doesn't tell you. That's the problem. Like, is it like 1 damage cap per stat? Probably not. But I don't know. Maybe. That would be cool. If you got like 20,000 strength. 20,000 more special damage cap doesn't sound too bad. But again, that's actually not really a significant effect, so... yeah, it's probably not going to really matter too much considering her special isn't that great. It would have been better if it was on Ark, but oh well. Nothing crazy there. I just like the fact that it boosts damage cap based on how unit high max HP is. That's the only part I like about this skill, because, yeah. Last one here. When only equipped weapon is one machine, firing ice damage 60% and damage cap 80,000. Pretty nice. And that, yeah, again, need a machine for that. When using a skill or special, chance to boost the damage by 8% and damage cap by 100,000. Yeah. I don't know what the chance of this skill is. It just says there's a chance to boost the damage and damage cap. I would assume it's like 10% or something. It's not going to be very high. Usually it's between 10 and 20%, I think. So, yeah. But if it does activate in like PvP, that could be significant, but don't rely on it. It's still a decent skill for the guaranteed 60% damage and 80,000 damage caps. Not bad. It's pretty good. Now let's have a look at 6th enhanced skills. There are some good stuff here. This one's very good. This one's very noteworthy. I want to mention that because it's very good. It's going to change a lot of stuff. Kind of. Mostly PvP. Special boost, special damage, damage cap, whatever. Special isn't that great anyway. 20% damage mitigation. Strengthen HP by 20%. 30% damage, 20,000 damage cap. 15% damage mitigation. 30% damage when hitting weakness. Okay, more weakness damage. Definitely make sure you hit weakness if possible. And the final one, this one is an interesting one. Mostly for PvP. But this is going to allow her to be a lot more tanky than what you're seeing right now. Temporarily. When taking lethal damage, survive and very greatly restore HP. And here's the most important thing. Give this unit a physical attack damage taken minus 80% buff for 10 seconds. That's quite strong. I don't know if it's going to be enough to allow her to survive units like Judeka or Shiflog Zeus, stuff like that. But in those 10 seconds, she should at least be somewhat tanky. The issue, though, is the fact that she doesn't nullify Slayer effects to herself. But if you had a full team of human type units to have the maximum 60% stat boosts, and you had this active and the fact that she's got a brute shield and stuff, in theory she could be quite tanky to physical damage. Powerful wave. Right. Yeah, if it was skills, that would have been a bit too, well, not too strong, but it would have been more useful. Yeah, but oh well. So the only thing with this is I wish it wasn't just physical damage. I wish it was like Judeka, who had the same thing, or similar thing, but it was all damage mitigation and not just physical. That's the thing, is she could die by counter attacks and magic still. So yes, it's not the best, but it is going to be useful if you're just up against physical damage units. I don't think she can be a tank. She's going to be a long range damage dealer for PvP, I think. But if she ever uses her skill 3, or gets sniped by a Shiflog Zeus or something, this will allow her to survive for 10 seconds probably. But she doesn't nullify Slayers, so I can't be sure exactly how tanky she's going to be. Because of how strong like Judeka and Benimaru is, I don't think she's going to be able to survive those two units in particular. Because those two units are too damn strong. Even with the buff active. But maybe if you build her like a hybrid bruiser unit with damage and mitigation, it might allow her to survive those units, at least for those 10 seconds. But is she gonna provide enough damage to actually be doing anything in your team? For PvP is the question. She needs enough damage to also do something, right? So, what I think about her kit so far is, I think she's gonna be good, quite good in PvE content, that's a fact, because she has 7.8 mil DPS on her skill 2. She's gonna be quite useful for PvE content, but not as good as Arc or Shift Arc for DPS. But if you're missing both of those units, go and pull Shift Arc right now. But if you get her from a ticket or something, then yeah, she's gonna be one of the better damage dealers that you have. But even so, she's going to be like around the top 5 DPS units for PvE content. So yeah, she's going to be quite strong, very solid for PvE content. It's going to rate around about 9.3 or something for PvE content, I'm going to guess. So yeah, she's going to be quite good, just not a must pull. You don't need it really, because Arc and Shift Arc are going to be better units, and you're going to be using her as a fire unit for PvE content. And Shift Arc is already fire, so yeah, you'll be missing out on quite a bit of damage cap if you're using ice for PvE content. So fire is going to be your better performance. I don't think she's going to rate higher. The reason being is because she's not just, she doesn't provide much support. Literally the only support that she gives in the team for PvE content is going to be the 30,000 damage cap buff, 2 skills, and she can't be used as a main support. Because Arch being Labyrinth is a main support with EX Drain and stuff like that. Kynei doesn't have any debuffs whatsoever. Yes, technically she has the take less physical damage, or that debuff, but yes, this damage cap is going to be good, but I would like to think of it as a nice bonus, really. And if you want to maximize your skill damage cap, then yeah, potentially you could use it, and you could have her as a damage dealer with another unit. If you're in raids, I think she's going to be quite useful, because then you have one main damage dealer, her as like another damage dealer. She can also give the damage cap to your main damage dealer, and then a support, and then another support probably. That could work. And a similar thing in Battlegraph Simulator, if you can fit the units in there, because you kind of need element units and a support, and SCD batteries, difficult. Yeah. So she could work with Shift Arc. She could work with Shark, which would be nice, yeah. And they're both fire units, so you could build a fire team. I call it the fireman team. Yeah. Sure. Well, the issue is you can't use her as a main support, but yeah, I think she's going to be very good for PvE content, and she should be solid in PvP too. But I would say wait and see what her PvP performance is like before you jump to any conclusions on that, because I don't think she's not going to be changing the meta in PvP at all. But if she hits hard enough at max investment and can tank at the same time, then I think she could be quite viable in PvP, but I'm just guessing based on what I'm seeing so far. Like, based on her kit, she looks tanky. It just depends on her actual damage and how it works in practice. I've only heard of a little bit of PvP testing for her so far, and it's not like amazing, so probably keep your expectations low for her PvP performance, honestly. If she uses a skill 3, then you're probably going to get screwed, because then she'll be in a close range and probably just get destroyed. Yeah, Shift Arc, Shark with Kynei, Lena and Sarah should work. Something like that. I think change Sarah for Arch being Labyrinth and it'll be slightly better, but yeah. Or, I don't know, she has a lot of team options basically. You can put her with any other main damage dealer, make her like a second damage dealer, and she also provides a damage cap buff to your main damage dealer. I think she's gonna be quite useful. So I think this unit overall seems very solid. Not anything crazy meta changing though. Let's have a look at the Arc next. This one, I don't think there's anything crazy about this one. I don't think it's as good as the unit based on what I've seen. Let's just have a look at the trait first of all. Start the battle when unit is female. Skill and magic damage increased by 40%. When attacked with an attribute the unit is weak against, chance to nullify the damage taken. And here's a typo. Here's a typo. Dark resistance +1. I know. Wow, +1 resistance. Let's clap for Adis on 1 resistance to dark. That's amazing. That's the best effect I've ever seen in my life. No, it's not actually. It's probably just a translation error with it should be blind instead. I think it's blind resistance, or they missed a 0. Either one, but it's probably blind resistance. Either way, it's not really a massive effect anyways. They need to change that description. I'm surprised it made it in game. I thought they would have noticed that. Battlestar, give 1 random ally male unit an auto revive effect. No time limit. This right there is a PvP effect. Mostly for like guild battles, annoyingly. More revived arcs. Wow, we didn't need it, we didn't want it, but we got it, and that's annoying. Oh well. So, I think this trait's pretty solid overall, because if you're using it on a female unit, you get 40% skill and magic damage, and it also gives a random male ally an auto revive effect. So, which is the same thing as Summer Sarah on it, actually. That's funny. But yeah, it's a decent arc trait. People are going to be using it in guild battles just for the revive effect to maximize their revive, which is frustrating. I hate that. The revive meta is stupid. I hate it. It should be gone. But anyways, that's the trait. It's pretty solid. And yeah, that should definitely be that's definitely a typo. They're going to change it. Unless they forget and they don't. Go change it now. They don't watch this stream, but I'm going to say change it. Armor curse resists fast ice wall, ice shield, gain ice. This one kind of it's not great. 5 SC, each wave boost ice damage maximum 20% after 90 seconds. A minute and a half. In Battlegraph Simulator, maybe in Battlegraph Simulator, but we don't really have any top tier meta ice damage dealers. I mean, if you want to count Kynei, but not entirely because she needs to be fire. So, yeah. But that would only get some use in like Battleground Simulator for an ice damage dealer, or in longer battles. That's it. Guild battles, never. Arena, never. It's just a Battleground Simulator skill. But even then, it's not even that useful because it's just ice damage. So, kind of bad. Next one, mind is increased by 5%, which isn't much, by the way, it's kind of small. HP recovery from units, healing magic, plus 1,500. So more healing damage cap for 7 SC, and some mind. Isn't the worst thing in the world, but I rarely find myself lacking healing caps, honestly. That's never a thing that I've actually thought about that I missed. So I don't think that's that great, honestly. And then the final one is quite interesting. Ocean Slayer is just a random selection of Slayer effects for 20 SC. You get physical attacks, anti-type, soldier, fish, dragon, and stone. Why those are selection? I don't know. I suppose in PvP on some units to have lower healing cap, yeah, sure. You'll only ever be using Ocean Slayer for plus 30 units, because 20 SE you'll be using it on your free skill slot at plus 30, but even then, I probably wouldn't recommend it unless you can take advantage of at least 2 of the Slayers. If you're just using it for 1 Slayer, why not just use the normal Slayer instead, right? So, it's not going to be the best, but maybe in some situations you would want to use it for like PvP or something, I don't know, but Ocean Slayer is not my favourite. Soldier's nice, but that's like the only useful one for PvP really. Fish, Dragon, Stone, maybe it's just for PvE content, and in PvE content I can see it being more useful. Like against maybe a stage that have multiple of those enemies could be useful, but I don't know. Not amazing. Archive rewards, this one's solid. HP, Strength, Defense, Ice Machine. That's not a machine, it's a damn beach ball. It's a ball. Why is a ball machine? Tell me why. Tell me why is a ball machine? I'm freaking out. Slayers don't apply to specials. It only applies to special if it's a buster effect. If it's a buster, it applies to special. Slayers only apply to physical. This archive reward should be an accessory, and I agree with that. Why is a beach ball a machine? I have to read this now. A Zard beach ball, faster, sturdier than normal toys, so it won't pop. So it's literally made out of metal. You're telling me there's a metal beach ball? It can also be used as a devastating weapon depending on the user's physical strength. It's a metal ball. I see. That's definitely what it is. It's just a metal ball that's painted red and blue. That's what it is. Has to be the reason. Okay, fine. Now let's have a look at the actual effects of this one. Ice physical damage plus 15%. Physical attack damage taken minus 10%. You know the most useful thing about this is the fact that you have damage mitigation on a weapon. That's the best thing about this. Physical damage taken minus 10% on a machine. You rarely get that. You basically never get that. So I think this on a Kynei could actually be quite good because the damage mitigation. How funny is that? You know, that's gonna happen. It's gonna be what you're gonna use on Kynei because of the damage mitigation and the damage. Probably. Anyone else? Probably not. I don't think so, because there isn't really any machine ice damage dealers that would like mitigation. But still, you could use it on a tank as well, like Melza, or just any tank. Yeah, you could probably give it to Melza, just for the physical damage mitigation. Not my recommended pick really, but it's an option for a weapon that actually has some mitigation. You rarely get that, so I think it's useful. But yeah, this arc is mostly for PvP. For PvE content, I don't think it really provides you anything. Ocean Slayer, not really. Gain ice very slowly. It's like ice is melting. Learnable skills kind of bad, honestly. The best thing about it, arc trait, archive reward, but mostly for PvP. So I'm not really the biggest fan of the arc. I think it's an easy skip, honestly. Like, yes, you can get some use out of it if you care about PvP, then you might be more interested in it. But I don't see enough value in the arc, so I think it's an easy skip on that one. The unit seems like the biggest prize on this banner. She's going to be quite useful for majority of content, because she can use Trishula if you really want to. She can be used in PvE content with pretty high DPS, and she can also be somewhat usable in PvP as well. But I don't think she's going to be a meta PvP unit. Super meta. But we have to wait and see on testing, more testing on how she actually performs in arena and guild battles first before we see that. If she can't kill like a tank like Melza with full investment, then I'll be disappointed. Also, she's got Brute Slayer, so no Human Slayer or anything like that. So she's going to need Night Slayer, stuff like that. Yeah, you could use Veldis for sure. She doesn't specifically need a fire or ice weapon. Veldis could be nice. Yeah, for PvE content. PvP, you'll probably be using something else for damage. But yeah, I think she's quite an interesting unit. She is better. I'll say this: she is better than Demon Lord's Nuggets. I wish I didn't say that now, but Karma Nugget man, she's better than him for sure, because he's kind of still. I know why I was very negative on it. Not the unit, just the actual laceration mechanic. I'm not going to cover that, but she is going to be better than him. She does have higher performance with her skill 2 at base. She's a lot easier to use as well. Karma Nugget needs building up his laceration stacks to do more and have more output, but it's like never really going to happen in most cases. So Kynei is going to be better. Yeah, Demon Lord Nuggets sounds yummy. Or not, depending on what you're thinking. I don't want to know what you're thinking, I don't want to know what I'm thinking, but Demon Lord's Nuggets. I don't know if that sounds good or bad, I can't tell. I'm going to stop saying it now. But yeah, Kynei's going to be better. She's going to be more useful overall. And I feel like Karma Nog is going to be bad in PvP as well. I still haven't seen anyone using there, so I'm assuming he's bad there. It's been 2 weeks and I've seen 0 nuggets in arena. I've seen 0 nuggets in arena. That's probably meaning he's bad there. I think Kynei has more potential and more overall account value than him. Let's have a look at her paid equipments next. So, she has a weapon and some clothes. Let's have a look at the weapon first. This one is a fire machine. Strength, defense. When equipped with only one weapon, increase fire and ice damage by 35% and damage cap by 9,000. When skill attacking, enemy fire and ice resistance minus 10 and deal damage, and increase strength by 10%. Yeah, I assumed he was bad. This weapon's pretty good. The main reason why I think it's quite good is because when skill attacking, enemy fire and ice resistance minus 10. So if the enemy has 0 resistance and you're doing fire or ice skill damage, you're going to be hitting weakness, which I think is pretty cool, because it's not a percentage, it's just a flat minus 10 resistance effect. Well, it's not an effect, it's just whatever. It's not a buff or anything, but he's quite nice. It basically guaranteed to reduce the resistance in the calculation by 10 and can allow you to hit weakness a lot easier. And we do have a lot of ways to reduce ice resistance in the game. Fire resistance not so much, but still can be quite useful for that. And the fact that you also get 10% strength, some damage and damage caps, pretty good overall. But compare that to Mecha Cannon Veldis for PvE content. That's going to be better overall for DPS. I think this one's mostly going to be for PvP damage. PvE it can work is good as well. It's going to be the highest, damage cap weapon and highest damage weapon for sure on her. But Mecha Cannon Veldis is going to be higher DPS potential. Well, I'm not talking about weakness, I'm talking about this effect right here. Weakness, if you hit weakness, they just have to be like -1 at least. If they're at least -1, if they're at least below 0, you're hitting weakness. And you can take advantage of the physical damage weakness skills and stuff like that. So, it's going to be very useful. Because it's basically another way to reduce it by 10. It's quite good. I think it's quite a good weapon. But the thing is, there are alternatives. You got the Arkeef reward from the limited arc in the same banner, and you've also got Trishula and Mecha Cannon Veldis for PvE content. So I would rather use Mecha Cannon Veldis for PvE, honestly. And for PvP, I'm not entirely sure. If I get the arc and the unit, then the arc if reward, I've definitely used that one, but if not, then I'm going to check alternatives later if I remember. Let's have a look at the clothes next. HP, strength, defense, mind, all looking pretty good. Damage taken minus 20%. When taking lethal damage, survivor 1 HP and restore medium HP once per wave. Won't faint from enemy attacks. You also get 10 dark resistance, stun resistance, blind resistance. I think this is just the PvP paid equipment that you would get. It's not that amazing. The best thing about it is you won't faint from enemy attacks. That's quite useful because it doesn't have any faint resistance in a kit. That means you can use this for faint resistance for PvP, and you don't have to worry about faint. So that's quite nice. Also, damage mitigation, survive lethal damage once. It's mostly a PvP equipment. It's not amazing, but it is going to be technically her best one for PvP, but there are alternatives, so I wouldn't call it necessary, and the alternatives are quite comparable to this and can be better. This one doesn't even give you any damage. It's just a mitigation paid equipment that allows you to nullify faint as well. So this is mostly for PvP, I think. This one, if I were to choose one of them, it's kind of a difficult decision if you ask me, because I don't feel like either of them are necessary. And yes, this weapon's strong, but because you can just use Mega Cannon Veldus, it's like, do I even need it now? Because Mega Cannon Veldus is going to be better. I suppose if you're using someone else that has Mega Cannon Veldus, like if you use it on Shift Arc, and then you also want her in the same team, then this would be the second best alternative to that. So, yeah, I still think the weapon's probably going to be the better one to pick, honestly. More damage, more strength, resistance. I think it's going to be quite nice, and probably her best one for PvP as well, so yeah, I would probably recommend the weapon, but if you're only using her for PvE content, and you are using Mega Cannon Veldus instead, then you probably don't need it. You probably select the other one, but this one's only for PvP. Just ignore both of these, unless you really want to maximize her potential, because they are going to be solid, just not anything crazy. I was kind of expecting something like Nullify Slayer effects, but I'm glad we are not seeing it, because those types of effects are very pay-to-win focused, and I'm never a big fan of it, because they're a huge part of the unit's kit that's tied to a paid weapon, and I'm never a fan of that. But that would have allowed her to be a lot more tanky if she did have one like that. But yeah, these paid weapon equipments are mostly nothing crazy, so you can definitely skip those. Right, that's going to be everything about the new banner and all the current banners right now. I will showcase this unit very soon. Now, I do want to do a few summons today. I skipped the previous unit. I am going to do a few summons today. I kind of had a bit more expectations at the beginning when I first read the unit's kit, and then when I heard her DPS was like 7.8 and her PvP is still being tested, but so far I haven't heard the best things. She isn't a necessary unit for me, so I don't need her really. She would be a nice unit to have, and honestly I would like to have this unit, but I'm not going to be pulling super hard on this banner, just because we should be able to get a couple more tickets later on, and she's not any super meta crazy unit. So what I'm going to do today is I'll do a couple pulls. We'll do tickets, and we'll do lap 1 and a few more. The thing is, I don't really care much about raids. I just do raids for the rewards. I don't really push ranks, because the raid boss that we just had, I got like rank 39 or something. I just wanted top 50, which was easy enough for me. I could have gotten a better score, but I just didn't feel the need to, because the reward difference was not really significant enough to make me want to push higher. So I don't really care too much about raids. I mostly care about Battlegraph Simulator. That's the main thing I care about. And currently I have everything for that. So I feel like I should be saving up for any future supports or something. And I don't think I'll be able to fit her into a Battlegraph Simulator team. I don't think so. Let me just show you real quick. And then we'll do a few summons and see how it goes. Because I was thinking possibly she could work against Thunderbird. I've already done that, but maybe this one, Pockle Eater, is a plant. I don't think that applies to Beast Slayer, I don't think. I don't remember. But this enemy's weak to fire, so if you can have Shift Arc with Kynei in the team, it could be pretty good. Issue is, yes, that would be good, but I don't actually need to do that because this team works just fine. So, yes, I would like to fit Kynei in a team like this, but I can't fit her in because I need an SCT battery, I need an ailment unit, I need a support, I need a damage dealer. Where's my Kynei going to fit in? That is the issue. That's kind of why I'm like, I don't think I need the unit, because she's not like a super top meta unit for PvE content, so I'm probably not going to be using her that much there. So I'm trying to talk myself out of not pulling for the unit, but let's start doing some pulls now. I'm going to do these tickets. Currently you can only get 7 right now. You can only get 7 right now. Probably not going to get anything. We'll see. Melee can work as debuff, but kinda. But yeah, there's nothing in there. I'll just watch it anyway. The reason why is melee doesn't have like EX drain or anything. I was like aiming for EX drain because you needed to reduce enemies' defense a lot, and you kind of need an EX drain debuff. And you could use Shift Log Zeus as a sub DPS support as well. So I'm starting to feel like this unit isn't as useful as I was hoping originally. I'll do lap 1. Then maybe step 1 of lap 2. And we'll see. Hopefully I get Kynei. Probably won't. But this is a summer limited banner. I just still haven't fully decided on if this unit is worth pulling for me. No beach or anything. I would like to see a beach today. It would just make sense. It would make sense to see a beach because it's the summer event. You should see a beach animation on a summer event. And then it'd be new for once. Yeah, I was definitely kind of hoping for a 10 ball ticket. There's literally nothing here today. There's nothing at all. It's terrible. Nothing. Not even a single red yet. Well, okay. I'll do this 110 pull. That's the last thing I'm doing with paid crystals. I won't do any more than that. She's not worth pulling for too hard. Can there at least be a red in here, please? Doesn't look like it, no. No, probably not. Why are there no reds today? It's like 0. Actually 0. This was boring. Literally the most boring summon session I've ever seen in my life. I mean, yeah, you can get a random red appear randomly at one of those, but I know, but that was a 10 ball because it was that. Technically, I could get a paid equipment because I'm like 4 away and it's quite cheap to get one paid from this. But well, I'll do a few single pulls now. No more. I'm gonna do single pulls now. See if we can get like 1 or 2 reds. Because I've got 0 reds and 22 pulls. I know it's nothing crazy, but believe me, I'm not gonna pull until I get it. It's not gonna happen. Because I don't need to pull too much. I just wanted to like do a little bit to see maybe if I can get the Ark or the unit or something useful. Because there's a summer limited banner. And I would like to try and get something. And there's going to be 3 more tickets later on, I believe. But why is there no reds? I wanted at least 1 red. Yeah, I mean, the rear now is a blue. Well, she's still pretty decent. I just feel like her PvP potential should have been a bit higher than what. Yeah. I'm gonna skip this banner. I just want to get 1 red, and I haven't seen a single red today. I wanted 1. Just 1 red orb, that's it. Or a beach. Something. But I'm not gonna be pulling any more than that. If I see 1 single red, that's me done. I'm pulling out this banner. Because I don't really care too much about Kynei herself. If it was a different unit that had the same kit, I would have been more interested. Like a Lily or... I keep asking for a Summer Lily. Never gonna happen though, is it? It's never gonna happen. Oh, you know what I can do? I forgot about this. You can use your medals for tickets. I'm gonna do that. I'm doing that. Probably not gonna matter, but I'm gonna do that anyway. We need a Eliza summer version of Eliza. People asked that for a long time as well. Why don't we get one? Come on, Beach. Something. I need a red, just like 1 red. Is nothing. Only Adele has showed up today. There's a red. That technically counts as the 1 red that I wanted to see. Okay, fine. I mean, I'm starting to feel like I don't actually need anything on this banner. Kind of would be nice, but like based on what I've heard so far with a PvP performance and PvE as well, I think the smart thing to do in this banner is to skip this one, so I think I'm gonna do that for today. Yeah, trading medals for tickets is the smartest thing to do, unless you plan to pity, but I don't. I'm not gonna be doing that. Yeah, well... Yeah, okay. I wish you could trade these for tickets too, that would be nice. Do I want to do more single pulls? Yes, but no, but yes. Yeah, I know, what we were hoping, at least us in the guild, we were hoping she would be a more viable guild battle unit or something, to just kind of shake up the meta a little bit, and also be a PvE viable unit. But if she can't even kill a Melzer, I just don't think she's gonna be useful enough, I don't think. If she had more supportive effects, I would have been more interested. Yeah, basically, a benchmark for how viable the unit is can they kill Mauser? If the answer is no, then their value is like goes down tremendously. Like, what's the point of the unit? But if you're someone like Jade, who has, you know, those extra attack skills, then yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. The screen for this might overlap with the chat box, which it looks like it will, but I wasn't really entirely sure how to do anything about that. Also, great artwork. Not my favorite, but it's still nice summer artwork anyways. I've still got... If you're wondering how I got this many crystals, there's been so many events recently with mission promo rewards being doubled, video ad rewards being doubled, stuff like that. More rewards from those events and raid bosses, time trials. There's been a lot of events for more crystals recently. Already made it up back to 261,000 free crystals, which I'm feeling good about. And I feel like I should definitely save those now. Yeah. I'm not going to do any more pulls today. I wish I could say yes, I'm going to pull, but no. Yeah, that kind of sucks. The ad rewards are kind of a big chunk of rewards, and you can't watch any on the Steam version, as you can see. It doesn't even show up on here. There's no button or anything because you can't do it on Steam. If I move this over a little bit, maybe. So, what I want to do now is start showcasing the units, and then we can get more into her skills, understanding her animations and how good she actually performs. And that will probably be everything for today. And then I can start talking about concluding everything with this whole summer event, which I feel like there could have been a bit more. Like, I was hoping for a second summer limited unit, but is it because there was a bad response when they did 2 summer units in the past? I don't remember. Anyways, let's just go to the unit test play quest for Summer Kynei. Not my favourite unit. I wish it was a different unit that wasn't Kynei, because this is just a female version of Kyle, which I don't like. Probably my least favourite female unit in the game is a Kynei, honestly. Like, I like Lilibet more than Kynei. It's like a tier list of female units, and you got Kynei towards the bottom. If you like Kynei, then sure, whatever, I'm not going to complain, but like... No. It's literally just Kyle hair. Literally just Kyle's hair on a female character is what it is. That's why I'm not super caring about this unit. Let's start having a unit. Both paids, Tree Jeweled Amulet, and this one more machine skill damage. Let's try her out. This arc won't give any extra damage cap, it will just give more damage. So let's go over each one of her skills, look at the animations and see her damage cap and her performance and stuff like that. Go more in depth on how she works. So let's have a look at her stats first of all. 9,000 strength, I wish it was a bit higher, but do remember she does get a bunch more stats for each human type ally in the team. Maximum of 60%, so she could get more strength than that, for sure. But she does also get more strength from her paid weapons, so I was kind of expecting a bit more strength, but it's not the worst thing. Now, here's the unfortunate thing. She has long range skill 1, long range skill 2, but her normal attack is close range. Why? I don't know. I don't know why. She needed to have long range normal attack. I believe she has the skill set to make her skills ice, doesn't she? Let me just make 100% sure. Or did they remove that? I can read everything just fine. I tried to move this across a little bit. Can't really move. Unless I make it smaller, I don't really want to make it smaller anyway. I wanted to see, is the ice thing here? Or did they just turn it off? Seems like they turned it off, right? Because I don't see the ice change skills to ice effect. No. They removed that to make it fire on purpose. Makes sense. But that's not technically a base kit then, isn't it? Probably one of the first times I've seen them actually remove a skill. Yeah. And I know that, but I was kind of expecting them to leave it on because it's base kit, you know, but oh well. Yeah, YouTube should be fine. Right. Normal attack being close range sucks. And yeah, throwing the ball would have made more sense, like... her skill 1 literally does that, but let's start with her skill. Skill 1 is her kicking the ball in the enemy's face. She could have like just thrown the ball like that too, but the skill 1 is not the fastest, because if I try and spam it, there's still a long delay between each skill 1, so it's not the best to spam, honestly. But it's fast, the actual hits itself are fast, but it's just not spammable enough to be amazing. Now, skill 2 is going to be her best skill, you're going to be using that a lot. Also, I did see that buff run out. There's a chance to get... I'll look at that soon. Skill 2, look how good this is, right? It may not look amazing when I use it once. Does 3 hits, and it does 10 more hits, right? But I'm going to show you what you can do with this unit. Spam this skill. See how good that is? It's very good. And if you keep spamming this, it's going to be very good DPS, and that is why she can reach 7.8 mil DPS on her skill 2, or around about that, close to 8 mil DPS on her skill 2. Because the fact that she can just keep spamming it while that explosion is happening. She throws it, and then she can just throw another one and keep doing it, keep spamming that. That's why that's going to be so good for PvE content. And yeah, it's not going to be as good as like Shift Arc or Arc, but it's still going to be on the higher end of DPS units we have available right now. So I think that's quite impressive. So it goes back to her idle animation right there, which is when, like right now, when they explode like that. And then you can just keep spamming it. It's really good. It's going to be really good. It's not as good as Arc. She did get the buff right there. Unit is hyped to the max. Okay. Bursting with energy. Sure. Skill 3. Here's where it's a bit weird, right? You got a long range skill 1. You got a long range skill 2. You got a close the gap skill 3. And then you have a close range normal attack. So yeah, skill 3 isn't bad, honestly. It's okay. Let me just see what happens when I spam it though. It's okay. It's better than the skill 1, at least, what I'm seeing. But it's not as good as the skill 2. The skill 2 is going to be better. Yeah. It's not bad. But you do have to remember she is a single damage dealer. It's going to be a lot harder to allow her to reach high potential. Like, her base kit is going to be almost the best that you'll see. And I say that because there are still ways that you can increase her potential, like damage cap, Mecha Cannon Veldis, Icy Guardian. You can still do that stuff. But what she's lacking is crit rate, auto critical effects like that, and she's a single damage dealer, doesn't have Fatal Strike either. So she's missing all that like high scaling effects. So that's why I think her damage ceiling is going to be a lot lower, and she's probably going to be power crept a lot quicker. That's what I think. Now let's try her special, see what that is like. So it's like 430,000 damage cap per hit, which isn't the best. It does 50 hits. It's a decent animation. It's kind of long, just like a very long animation of throwing the ball, like charging up the ball, and then you go up, and then you kick it, and then it goes and travels and homes in on the enemy, and then it explodes. Sure. But he doesn't do that much damage. It does like maybe not even a quarter of Ark's special damage, but it does hit all the enemies. And if you have other units in your team, it's going to increase the damage cap for each stat that they have. So you can increase that in ways. So that's kind of everything that she does, really. And this buff allows her to get the SCT regen effect, so you can see very fast SCT regen right here because she has that buff active. How long does it last? Good question. It's probably like 15 seconds. Pretty sure it's the same as her special, or maybe 20. Got it right there. And then I can see how long it lasts. Probably 15 seconds. Yeah, it's definitely 15 seconds. The same length, duration as her special, so no surprise there really. And she doesn't have anything else in her kit. Like, at the end of the day, yes, she is technically just a damage dealer with extra steps, because she can do a few other things like tanking and long range and that physical damage dealt debuff and the skilled damage cap buff to an ally and herself. But those are small things which, yes, they are nice. She doesn't have any magic spells, no charisma or anything like that, nothing crazy going on, so very simple of a unit. No ether shield. A very fast skill 2. 652,000 damage cap is when she gets the plus 100,000 extra. So it's like 550,000 damage cap, which is good, but dual wield units can reach that, like Shift Arc can reach that dual wield and even higher. But yeah, that's kind of everything with Kynei. Now let me just try and kill this enemy as fast as I can. But it's not going to be the best, because she kind of wants to spam her skill 2. Probably gonna be doing this. That's probably our best DPS in here, at least. Yeah, 23 seconds is, you know, is solid, but it will definitely be faster if you only spam the skill 2. The issue is skill 2 is the only skill that's viable. She's only got 3 skill stocks of that skill 2, so not many skill stocks, and you'll be forced to use someone that has like Honey Elixir or Winry's Apple Pie or some effect like that. And if you're using her in raids, you would much rather have your main leaner SCT battery unit on your Arc team or Shift Arc team, you're most likely not going to want to use it just for Kynei to spam her skill 2. So that's kind of another issue that you've got there, is her skill 2 uptime, having enough SCT to regen that skill 2, going to be quite difficult to do that. So yeah, you add that, and then you realize maybe this unit isn't super necessary, because her skill 2 being incredibly fast makes it difficult to keep the SCT going, and you would rather use it on Arc instead, I would think, because his skill 2 is like pretty quick, pretty similar, but better and more DPS, and even a special that does more damage. So yeah, she seems pretty decent. I just wish that she was a bit better than that, honestly. Like, I was hoping that she was going to be a viable PvP and PvE units. Yeah, there's quite a bit more DPS on Arc, and he's got a better special. He's going to be a lot better, and yes, that was a hard comparison for those two units, but I wasn't expecting that. I was mostly hoping for her having high DPS as well as being PvP viable, something like a Judeka or something being very viable in both modes. I still think she's going to be viable in both modes, but isn't really as good as I was hoping, but her DPS is still very good, honestly. So I think I'm going to leave everything there for today. I want to talk about like everything in this summer event, so let's start this off with the conclusion for Kynei. First of all, I think this banner is okay. Like, for a summer banner, it's at least better than some of the older summer units that we've had in the past, and she is going to be quite a good unit. But the fact is, do you even need this unit? Because if you have existing units like Shift Arc or Arc, then I don't think you're going to be able to get too much use out of her, because her max DPS is going to require permanent uptime of her skill 2 and spamming that skill. And if you want to use her just for raids, it's going to be quite difficult to do that with another damage dealer. Like, that's the issue, is if you want her to be supporting a second main damage dealer, and you want her to be doing her max DPS as well, it's going to be so difficult to have permanent uptime of her skill 2, while also having uptime on your main damage dealer at the same time. So Arc with Kynei is just not going to work, because spamming both of their skill 2s at the same time is just basically impossible, or just stupidly difficult, and I would rather not worry about doing that. But maybe if you have Shift Arc with Kynei in the same team, it could be a team that you can get to work, but you're still going to have to spam Honey Elixir a lot, and it's going to be difficult to min-max that for maximum DPS. Next collab, I have no idea. There's no news on that next yet, and we haven't had anything on the roadmap, so we don't know. It's probably going to be a surprise announcement at some point. I wouldn't expect it anytime soon, because we had the collab, Brave Frontier collab not long ago. That was very recent, a few weeks ago, so I think wait like maybe 2 months, and there might be another collab in 2 months or so. Maybe September, October time will be another collab. Maybe we'll get another rerun before then. That's my guess, but we'll see what happens. And about the Arc on this banner, I do think it's okay, but again, it's an Arc that has some niche uses. It's got a decent trait, gives a revive effect. Arc Key Reward is solid for damage mitigation and more ice physical damage, but it's nothing you really need, and the Arc is just for PvP, really. So I don't think you need either of these units. If you like Kynei, then get her if you want, it's up to you. But if you're just a player that cares more about meta units, then you do have better banners going on right now. Being, if you go to Redux, you've got Arc King of Dragons. he's going to be a better pull, more useful for your account overall than Summer Kynei. Even though Kynei is a limited unit, Arc King of Dragons just has insanely high DPS for PvE content. He's going to provide a lot more to your account. He's going to be better. He has another week left. But if you do get Kynei, she's going to be quite solid, honestly. She's pretty good. She's just not a game-changing unit or anything like that. But she is a lot more useful than Demon Lord Nuggets. Is a lot more useful than the Karma Nuggets. We don't want those nuggets. They're bad nuggets. They've gone off. I don't hate him that bad. I just wish he did better. But yeah, she's at least more useful. But you don't need either of those units either way. So even though it's a summer banner, is not really providing anything crazy. I would argue that the summer banner last year was better than this one because of the fact that that had the summer version of Labyrinth and the Cerule, whatever it was called, Ark, that had quite useful things in it. So this is less useful for overall count value, honestly. So yeah, Demon Lord's Nuggets is gonna be a thing that's gonna happen forever. You know what's funny is the Demon Lord Nuggets, he's the one, this guy's the one that went crazy and lost his mind. So that the Nuggets lost their mind, but all the other chicken didn't. They were just fine. You can make a story out of that somehow. Anyway. Judeka. I wonder if you could make like a chicken name for each Demon Lord unit. Because technically you got Demon Lord Nuggets, Karma Nuggets, and then you got Judeka could be like, I don't know, no idea. But it would be hilarious if each one represented a certain chicken or meat or something. Hilarious. Anyways. Yeah, I think the best thing right now is definitely Arc King of Dragons banner and the Redux banners. This banner right here can be quite useful. If you're missing everything here, or most of these, try to get Marine Catastrophes if you can. That one's going to be worth pulling on. Heroic Spirits Vacation for the Icy Ensemble skill can be quite nice. Seaside Drive for Counter Shield 2 of Mega Drive and stuff. And Paradise Rubel is one I was thinking about getting for Pearl Float and Orgon Ring, but those are mostly PvP ones, and that one's going to be the best one there. I would recommend to select that one, and either Labyrinth or Sarah, probably. Something like that. That's probably what I would select, and it's probably worth trying to get something from there. But yeah, there isn't anything super crazy. This is a good time to get the summer arcs that you're missing. So I do recommend to try and get the summer limited arcs that you may not have yet, that are useful. And that is pretty much everything for today. Honestly, a decent summer event, but was kind of hoping for a bit more. But honestly, is a solid unit. It's quite a good unit, and the event itself is a Sun Vessel Island that we always get. It's got those boxes, and it's a decent event, and there's some promos going on. So overall, it's a pretty decent update with all the promos and giveaways and stuff that they're having right now. And the fact that there's a solid unit, nothing bad about the unit. Overall pretty good. So it's a decent update for sure. I still haven't gotten around to doing the story yet. I was just finishing off the previous one. If I go to Cloudia, I just finished off the last story, which was around here. I'd done all of these and the Monster Collector's Man and everything. Haven't got around to doing the current one yet, but I was kind of expecting there to be a new unit showing up in the story, and then we getting a new story unit. Unless that's happening in 2 weeks. Maybe. No spoilers on that. But maybe that's in 2 weeks. We'll see. So, the plan for right now, I think, for like most players, is going to be try and get Ark King of Dragons if you need him. Get some stuff from this Redux banner if you're missing the more important ones like Marine Catastrophes. If you get Marine Catastrophes and Ark King of Dragons, you can probably skip everything else. This banner can be quite good if you're missing a lot of stuff in here, because you can get a preferred hero unit and a preferred UR Ark as well. Highly recommend to check the gacha details and probability before you do this, so then you can see what is in this banner, because I think there's like a selection of 10 arcs or something, and you can't pick one or anything, it's just out of a selection they chose. But yeah, I think if you've got the important things already, you can safely skip everything right now, because nothing's crazy. Like, there's some good stuff here, but nothing is like standing out to me, and I don't see enough value from most of these banners, apart from the ones that I already mentioned, being Shift Arc and the Redux banner having a few things in. Apart from that, there isn't really too much else. And this banner. Everything else, you can probably just skip that. And then wait and see whatever the next collab's going to be, and whatever's coming up in 2 weeks. No idea. It's probably going to be some Descent of Heroes unit. I really hope we get a permanent unit soon. It's been so damn long. Very long. It's been such a long time since we've had a permanent unit in this game, that has to be soon. Like, there's no way. It would be very nice if it's in 2 weeks, because we've had a collab and now we had summer. So it would be nice if we get a permanent banner next before any Descent of Heroes units or collabs or anything like that. Maybe we get like a rerun Redux banner at some point, because there are some reruns for collabs that I would really like to see, like Dr. Stone would be very nice to get again, and some insights for those collabs. You know what? Because in the roadmap it only has insights. If you look at the roadmap, I can't bring it up. Alright, maybe I can. Let me show that. Let me open it. Let me open that. Just to show you real quick. If I can. If it loads. Need to find the image. There's a roadmap for the next few months. Might want to open. Or just forget about it and don't worry about it. Anyway, the roadmap said that anniversary in like a few months. Anniversary is in October. August has another Great War of Theodemonian event, which will have another Demon Lord or something in there. And there'll be a new Battlegraph Simulator boss next month. A new Insight unit will be added in August next month as well. September doesn't have Insight unit, just has 7.5 year anniversary countdown. So here's what I'm gonna guess, right? Maybe like sometime in September there could be like a Redux collab banner or something with Insight units. That would be cool, because it doesn't say that they're adding Insight units in September. So they might be doing like a collab Redux or a rerun for a collab in September. Something like that, I would guess. I'm going to guess it, but I have no idea. So don't fact check me on that. And the final Great War of Theodemonian event, I think it's the final one, is going to be in September. And another Histomia boss in September as well. So it's like every other month you get a Histomia boss and a Battleground Simulator boss every other month. So that's nice. I don't think Overlord's going to happen yet. It's a bit too early for that right now, considering Albedo is still meta to some extent. She's still used. I think the older ones like Persona hasn't had a rerun ever, and Street Fighter hasn't had a rerun ever. So those two are like potential rerun collabs that they could happen. I think Persona is the most likely because it's never had a rerun in many years. Well, it's never had a rerun before, and it's been many years at this point, so I think that would be likely. And that would be a collab that could benefit some players, because it has a Keen Eye, I think it's called Keen Eye, which is the same thing as Glass Record, Poem of the Star Readers. A lot of players would like that SAT skill, so that would be a nice collab to get Persona. So I'm hoping we get that at some point. And Street Fighter would also be a nice rerun to get as well, or like Guile's Insight, and the other units were never really that great, but some of the arcs were useful. And I would really like to see a Sonic rerun at some point as well. It might be a bit too early for that, but a Sonic rerun would be quite nice, because I didn't do Sonic on this account, it was on my previous account, so I don't have any of the Sonic stuff on here, but Sonic was cool. Insight for that would be nice in the future, but it's probably a bit too early for that, and I don't know if they are going to be doing that, but let's hope in the future that something like that's going to happen. I'm not the biggest fan of Persona, but I'm hoping that gets a rerun, because that's the oldest collab without a rerun right now. It used to be ReZero, and now it's Persona, that's the oldest one without a rerun, so I'm hoping something like that happens. It might be like what they did with Bayonetta and Devil May Cry, where there's no new units, and they just release them as Insight and new banners. It might be something like that, I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in like September. So I'm going to leave everything there for today. Hopefully everyone enjoys this summer event. Yeah, people say it's cursed. It didn't happen in Last Cloudia though, it's the only game that hasn't happened to. So yeah. I don't think I'm going to be doing too much in the next 2 weeks, honestly. I made those 2 videos that I wanted to recently, and I don't have any plans for any current videos right now, because I don't have any ideas apart from the current Battlegraph Simulator boss that I'm working on. So I don't think there's going to be any more videos coming up very soon, because I don't have any plans. We've had all the events, promos going on, so yeah, I think in the next 2 weeks it's going to be a current event and whatever the promos are, and I think it's going to be more of a chill week over the next 2 weeks. Not as much happening, but that's fine, because having a break every once in a while is fine. So I'm probably just going to be chilling in this game for the next 2 weeks, honestly. Farming these summer events. I have almost finished the most recent Histomia accessory. I'm 7 levels away from maxing this out, so I'm almost done with that. And after that will just be story and Battleground Simulator, and probably about it until the next update, I think. So yeah, I'll leave that there for today, and I'll have the timestamps in the next 10-15 minutes or so. Hopefully you get what you wanted from this summer event, because there are a couple of useful things in here. Do wait for part 2 next week. Part 2 isn't going to have anything crazy in, but it should provide us with at least 3 more tickets. So don't pull on Kynei's banner if you plan to yet, because we should get 3 more tickets next week. And in 2 weeks from now we'll get a unit select ticket. That's currently not available yet, but in 2 weeks that's going to happen. So yeah. And also 2 banners are currently postponed because they're getting fixed. But yeah, I'll leave that there for today. I'll have the timestamp very soon, and I'll see everyone in the next one. So thanks for showing up. Bye.